been looking at passion. And in the area of passion, we said those are the things that God puts in our hearts, the things we really want. They may be our dreams of the future. They may be the things that give us energy, the values that we have. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is energy and values. Now, we looked at dreams. We also looked at the obstacles to our dreams. And then some of the solutions to both kinds of obstacles. Remember, there's internal obstacles. So sometimes we're the problem. Sometimes we're blocking our own dream because of what we're thinking and what we're telling ourselves and what we're doing. It's kind of like we sabotage our own dreams. There can be external obstacles too, but really the external obstacles we can see. The internal obstacles are the harder ones because they're invisible. So, let's start looking for some of the puzzle pieces, some more of the clues about our life purpose discovery. And we've talked about energy a little bit, but Kevin, I want you to come up here. And I know this is the perfect example for you because I know you like football. So I want you to tell us a little bit about why do you like football? What's your favorite team? Tell us about the game that you watched Monday night. You know, tell us, just talk for a couple of minutes about that.
Okay, of course I love football because that makes me get closer to my friends, and also I enjoy because most of my free time I just feel like being with friends and having that fun is just fun to me. And of course I love watching football, especially the England football, the soccer. Yeah, I think the previous that I was watching on Monday, it was just the highlights of the final of the UEFA Champions League.
The final, huh?
The highlights, yeah. And of course, I enjoy even watching it because I can learn more of a skill.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you guys something about Kevin. You know Kevin, right? Let me go to this next slide. I want you to tell me, what did you notice about Kevin as he was talking about football? Did you notice anything?
Yes, he's very happy.
Yeah. He's usually a very quiet boy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't talk a lot. Did I have trouble getting him to talk about soccer? No, not at all. And he had a big smile on his face the whole time he was talking, wasn't he, Jessica? That's what you're talking about. Yeah. Now, when we have passion for something, that's one of the ways it shows. It's something we like to talk about it. We like, it makes us happy. That shows us that there's energy. Now, if I probably called Jessica up here and said, Jessica, I want you to talk about soccer, she would have gone, oh, what, soccer? Right? Because she doesn't have a passion for soccer. Okay, thank you, Kevin. You are a great example on that one. So you see, think about the things you talk about. Think about the things that make you smart. Think about the things that nobody has trouble getting you to talk about. For Mercy J, it may be the garden or sewing. She talks about those. So, think about your passion. Think about your passion and how it comes out in what you say. You see, when you're talking about something you really care about, you may speak with greater emotion, your tone of voice may change, your volume may change, you may suddenly start talking louder, you may start talking faster. So how you speak about life reveals your passion. It really does. Now this is one of those things that you may not even be able to really see. Jessica, you may need to ask Mercy J. Mercy J, you may ask Mercy, or Miss Poway, or Jessica. Kevin, you may ask the boys, what do I talk about? What do you think I have a passion for? They can probably tell you immediately. Sometimes we don't realize that we really show what we care about by the things we talk about. Jessica and I are working on the newsletter this week. And, you know, when it comes time to do the newsletter, I'm always like, okay, what did we do this month? What was God doing? What happened? And, you know, I usually go, well, okay, we had the Saturday night services. We'll tell them about the Saturday night services. And Dr. Les sat at his desk a lot and did appointments. But let me tell you about the orphans. And then I get excited because then I want to show pictures of all of you guys. Because you know what I have energy for? Amanda's house, for you guys. I like to show the pictures of you and tell about how you were working and what you've been studying and what you're doing during this time. And so I know that even in the newsletter, I have to try to balance what I tell about because I could spend the whole newsletter just telling about you guys. Because that's what I have a passion for. You know, Jesus is the one that said, he said in Luke 6:45 that what we talk about is the overflow of our heart. Whatever's in your heart is going to come out your mouth. You're going to talk about it. You're going to show excitement about it. It reveals your passion. So, here's the rule. Follow the energy. If you're looking for one of these puzzle pieces about what you care about, what excites you, follow the energy to help you identify the passion. You know, if you're just sitting there going, well, what am I passionate about? You may have trouble thinking of it, okay? Now, hopefully you've thought of some things because when you were looking at your dreams. So, all of these are passion, but they're like 3 different windows to look in and find your passion. One window is your dreams. If you think about your dreams, you're trying to look in the window of dreams to see, what is my passion? What do I care about? What have I dreamed about doing? What have I dreamed about having? Or a place I've dreamed about going? Or people I've dreamed about helping? So the dreams is one window. The second window is energy. Because when we look at our energy, it tells us it's another window to look into our heart and see where the passion is. So follow the energy to identify the passion. The values, that's what we're going to talk about next. The dreams, the desires, those things that you care deeply about, they're going to show. They're going to show. If you care deeply about something, you're going to talk about it. If you care deeply about someone, you talk about them. Sometimes it drives you crazy when somebody gets a girlfriend or a boyfriend, because now that's all they talk about. Oh, have you met Jim? Jim is so wonderful. Have you noticed how handsome he is? He is so great. And you just go, is that all you can talk about is Jim, 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 Jim? But you see, it's because you have a passion for Jim. So what do we have a passion for? Now again, you guys are in an age where you're just discovering your passion. And to be honest with you, again, you may not even fully know what your passion is. I mean, Kevin has a passion for football. He enjoys the football, he gets excited about the football, but I don't think Kevin's expecting to spend his whole life playing football. I don't think you're planning on being a professional soccer player. So there's gotta be some other passion there too. You know, because if you're talking about giving your life to something, right? You're gonna spend your life, really, your energy, your time, your money on a passion. What is it going to be? Now, if you're not sure, you just keep praying. Again, you guys are fairly young to know what your passion is. It's probably growing. There may be some seeds there. I haven't talked with you yet about what you put down for dreams. I want to talk to you later as we begin to put these all together. So you may have some seeds. It's kind of like the pumpkin. You may have some pumpkin seeds, but it hasn't grown into a big pumpkin yet. It may take a few more years before you know what really is the passion that God's put in your heart. So what can you do in the meantime? Well, you need to keep following God, keep praying, and let Him put His desires into your heart. Now, you guys had the sheet, you had the homework sheet, you have that? I want you to look at that for a minute. It looks like this, and I told you to just fill out the dreams, right? So now you can fill out this part on energy. Today you're going to fill out really this part and this part. We're going to go ahead and do values now because we have plenty of time. This section on energy is not very long. Obviously, I've only taught about 15 minutes, but it's one of the big windows to tell what you get excited about. So any questions on energy before we go on to values? Is that clear? Does it make sense about energy? That you can tell when you're excited, and you can tell when somebody else is excited, right? Okay. Well, let's go on then and talk about values. I'm not going to talk real long about this one either. Values is a little bit harder to understand, I think, because there's lots of different things that you can value. Now, I want you to hear this very clearly. There are lots of values in the Bible. I mean, the Bible's all about values. You can't value them all, okay? A person can only have a few core values. So, for instance, you may value honesty or integrity, but, so you believe in it, you want people to tell you, but it may not be one of your core values, okay? So it is impossible for any human being to have all the values that God has, okay? Because we would have like 1,000, okay? And you can't keep track of that many. So there are lots of good things to value. All of them are good, probably, unless you value corruption or you value evil. If you value witchcraft, okay, there's a problem. But but probably all the things you value are good things. But let's look at what values are. Now, again, to understand values, if you have a value, again, it's going to be something you're passionate about. It grabs hold of your heart as well as your head. So when you're trying to find what are my values, the things I value may not be the things that Mercy J values. The things that Mercy J values may not be the same as Jessica's or Kevin's. So we all have different values, and they all can be right, okay? There's no right or wrong answer on this, just like there's not for dreams. It's whatever God has put in your heart. So a value connects to your passion because it is what you really hold in your heart. And it's usually constant. It's usually something that maybe you gained your values from going to church. Maybe you gained your values from your parents. And so you may have had them all your life. But values usually don't change. If you value something, you're probably going to hold on to that value your whole life, okay? Now, again, it should be something that is sourced in God and in His Word. So like I say, it's going to be something good. It's just that you can't, it's not going to be 1,000 biblical values. It's going to be a few. And you can think of it as core beliefs. It's something you have a real conviction about, a real opinion about, that you hold to be true. So values, like I say, now values are a little bit harder, I think, to identify because when we looked in the window of dreams, you can begin to think, yeah, what have I always dreamed about? What would I love to do? If I could go anywhere, if I could do anything, you can think about that. Energy, I think, is the easiest one that we just talked about because you can tell what you get excited about, what you talk more about, what puts that smile on your face. So energy's a little easier. Values are like hidden way down deep in our heart. So sometimes they're hard to see. So I'll talk to you in a few minutes about how to find those. But here's basically what they are. There's something you really believe. Now, there's some different kinds of values, and this is what you have to be careful of. Sometimes they're very conscious values, but sometimes they're unconscious values. So again, they're so down deep in your heart, they've been there for so long, you think that they're invisible because they're such a part of you. So sometimes it's hard to find these unconscious values because they're just such a part of who you are. Now, sometimes there's shared values, and you have talked about them, you've told other people about them, you know other people who share those values, but sometimes you haven't maybe talked about those values, or you're not with people who really share those values, and so, again, they may be a little bit harder to find. Now, this one's the one that's really important that I want to talk to you about, because a lot of times we have a hard time finding our actual values because there's so many aspirational values. Do you know what an aspirational value means? Do you know the word aspire? If you aspire to be a wonderful person, then that means I really want to become. Maybe there was a wonderful person you admire. Maybe there was a wonderful person you studied about in history, and you go, oh, I aspire to be like them. But are you like them? Well, probably not. Maybe you're trying to be, but that's not who you are. Well, there's a lot of values, especially as Christians. I think there are a lot of values that we feel like we should have. I ought to do this, I ought to do that. If I'm a good Christian, then let's say pray. Let's take something like prayer. Now, we all believe in prayer, right? Everybody believes in prayer. Okay, if you're a Christian, you believe in prayer. You believe in talking to God. Okay, so that's one of the things we all believe in. We know we should. But you know what? Let's be honest. A lot of times that's not one of our core values. Now, you probably know someone who that is their core value. If you know someone that prays like all the time, that spends lots of hours every day praying, well then yeah, prayer is one of their core values. But for the rest of us, if we're honest, we'd have to say, well, I know I should pray more. I want to pray more. Next year, I'm going to pray more. We're aspiring to it. But the truth is, we probably don't pray as much as we could or should. Okay? So that would be the difference between an actual value and an aspirational value. So we're going to come back to this in a few minutes on how to find the real value that you have. But let's talk a little bit more about values that affect our lives. You see, what you value is going, even though it's invisible, even though it may be unconscious, you haven't thought about it, you haven't named it, you haven't shared it with somebody, it affects your decision making. When you go to make a decision, that value is going to be there. That value is going to be there. Influencing your thinking, influencing your heart in making that decision. It affects your risk taking, your goal setting, conflict resolution, problem solving, deciding what are your priorities. All of those are going to be influenced by your values. And just like we saw that your personality is unique, your personality is woven into the very fabric of who you are. Well, your values make you who you are. Because again, not all of us we can't have a whole lot of values. We're going to have a few that really are at the center of our heart and that guides us. It guides us in these decisions, in these things we do, in the things we say, in the choices we make. So values are a little tricky to find, but they're very important because they are guiding our life. Just because we can't see them, just because they don't show on our face maybe as much as energy does, they're still guiding us. So let's look at some questions we can begin to ask ourselves that will help us to find the puzzle piece of values. What is important to me in this category? And in fact, let me name some categories that you can think about. I don't think you have this in your homework pages, but think about the different areas of your life. Think about family. Think about your spiritual life. Think about your finances. Think about your time. Think about your home life, your family life. Think about your education. I may need to give you guys that page that really lists all the different areas of your life. That might help you. And so what you're doing is in each category, you're thinking about what's important to me. When I think about my family, what's important to me? When I think about my spiritual life, what's important to me? When I spend money, money's easy. You can follow the money. You know, if you keep a budget, if you know where you spend your money, it'll tell you what matters to you, what's important to you. Why do I feel so passionately about this? So whatever it is, whatever the thing is, by asking yourself why it's important to you and why you feel so passionately about it, it'll help you to find the value of this thing. How would I spend time or money in this area? What would I sacrifice for, and why? Again, we all only have 24 hours in the night. All of us do. The president of Kenya does. The poor person on the street, we all have 24 hours. And we spend our time on what's important to us. We spend our money on what is important to us. I mentioned in the cell group last night that, you know, when my mom died, I got a lot of jewelry. And some of the jewelry is pretty, it's, you know, but it's not expensive. And so I kept some of that, I gave some of it away. I give some of it away to you guys, you know. But there's some jewelry that was very, very expensive. It's real gems, real diamonds, real gold, real silver. So real pearls, real jade, you know. And so it's worth a lot of money. And it's so expensive that, like, where are you going to wear it, you know? Am I gonna wear it while we're working in the garden? No. Am I gonna wear it while we're washing dishes? No. Okay. And am I gonna wear it here at home? Well, no. But if I wear it when I go out, I'll probably be mugged or killed and it'll be stolen. So I decided, you know what, this is silly. I might as well sell the jewelry, because you know what? Now, my mom liked the jewelry, my mom wanted the jewelry. My mom had a value for jewelry. Do I? No, I don't. I wear a lot of jewelry because I have a lot of jewelry, but I don't have a value for jewelry. So, in fact, later this afternoon, you guys can join me in prayer. Some of the jewelry is going to be taken to a jeweler in the U.S., and they're going to call me and tell me how much money he'll give us for that jewelry. Because you know what? I value what that money can buy for you. I value how that money can help you go to school, or have clothes, have whatever you need. So I value you more than I do that jewelry. I would rather sell the jewelry, take the money, and use it for you guys, okay? So everybody has values. I'm not saying my mom was bad or wrong because she bought beautiful jewelry. She had money to do that, so she did it. But I don't have a value for keeping it. There's other things that are more important to me. So that's what I mean about decisions, you see? I'm gonna make decisions based on what's important to me, what I value. Do I feel I stand out or rise above the norm in this area? So, like I was giving you the example of prayer. Someone who stands out because of the amount of time they spend in prayer. Someone who prays more than most people. They have a value for prayer. They have a value for prayer. Not that the rest of us are not praying, but they're above us. They're above the norm. And you're probably, in the areas where you have values, you're going to stand out or rise above other people. You're going to be doing something more than other people in that area. What kinds of things get me excited? Again, when you look at these different categories, what gets you excited? What gets you excited in the spiritual area? What gets you excited about education? What gets you excited when it comes to being a family? What motivates? There's another key word. So we've looked at what's important, spending, standing out, getting excited. What motivates my response to the questions above? Why do I care about this? We talked about how passion is that engine, right? It's that engine that drives us. It's that engine that's in the car that moves us forward. If we don't have any passion, we're not going to go anywhere. If you don't have any passion, if there's nothing you care about, you're just like, why try? Go where? Do what? There's nothing that grabs my heart. There's nothing I really care about. So these are some of the questions that can help us. Now, there's really two ways of trying to find your values. Dr. Les teaches on this with his coaching students to help them find their values. And there's like two paths to get in. There's like two different doorways to get in to try to find your values. One is to sit down with a piece of paper and pencil and go, what are my values? And if you can think of, if you can answer these questions, that will help you to write down your values of what really is important to you. But most people find that to be a really hard way to do it, because you may sit there and go, what excites me? What do I really care about? What is my value? And you may be kind of coming up with a lot of blanks. I think an easier way, at least for some people, is to try a different path. And that different path, instead of trying to find your value, you see, I said we were going to come back to the idea of the actual and the aspirational values. Remember that? Let's go back to that slide. When you're trying to find your values and you're thinking about it, one of the problems is that if Kevin just sits down with a pencil and a piece of paper and tries to list his values, many times you end up listing this. You end up writing down what you think is the right answer, or like the kind of person maybe that you really want to be, or that you think a good Christian is, but not your actual value. So to check yourself, if you go in the first path I talked about, and you just sit down and try to think of the value, step 2, after you write the value, it's kind of like, okay, Kevin, prove it to me. Show me the different areas of your life where you're living that value. Okay? Because if it's a real value, it's going to show with your time, with your money, with your passion, with what you do, with where you go, with what you want. You're going to be able to point and say, well, in church, I do this. Let me give you let's go to another value. Let's say giving. If giving is a real value for you, then giving shows up like in all the different areas of your life. You look at your spiritual life and you go, well, yeah, but I don't just give my tithe. I mean, my tithe, that's only 10%, so I give extra offerings. When someone needs clothes, I love to give them some of my clothes. If someone needs food, I'm gonna share some of my food. I love to give. I love to give to the family. I love birthdays and Christmas because I love to plan and give gifts that's really gonna make someone feel loved and put a smile on their face. So I spend my time giving to people. I spend my money giving to people. I love to plan the gifts I'm gonna give them. So they could begin to point to family and church and time and money and all these different areas. And guess what? There's giving, 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 giving in all those areas. So that's one way to do it, is to say, what do I have a value? Oh, I have a value for giving. And let me prove it to you. In this area I give, and in this area I give, and in this area I give, and in this area I give. And that helps you then to find the real value. If it's just aspirational, let's say Kevin feels like, I really ought to be a better giver. He might put down giving, but when we ask him to prove it to us, well, no, he wants to do it. He hopes to do it. Someday he's going to do it. But you see, he's aspiring. He's aspiring to being a giver. But when we ask him, show us the place in your life that you give. Well, no, not really. Are you beginning to see? So, that's one path, is trying to write it down and then trying to prove it. But the other way for you to explore your values is to kind of come in the back door, come in the other way, and look at your life. Look at your life. And discover the values from your life. How do I spend my time? How do I spend my money? What do I show when I interact with the family? What do I show is really a value for me? In church, what do I show is a real value? In my education, what do I show is a real value? So then you're finding the examples, and if you can find the example in several areas of your life, well then maybe that is a value. You see? And then you don't have to worry about this one because you're finding actual values by looking at your life from the beginning. So you can do it either way. You can do it either way. Again, it may be helpful to ask the people who live with you and know you best. What values do they see in you? Because again, by the way you talk, how you live, what you show in your life, you may not be saying, I value giving, but they see it. They see you doing it. So other people may be able to help you identify the values. So these are three. We said that there's not as many puzzle pieces when we look at passion. But these are big puzzle pieces. These are key puzzle pieces. Because your design is how God's created you, how He's made you. You're seeing something about your future. You're seeing some things about your destiny. You're getting clues to your life purpose just from your design, from how you're made. But now we're looking at what's going to give you energy, what's going to drive the car, what's going to put fuel in your tank to give you speed, to go for something. That's going to come from this area of passion. And the passion We can look in the window of our dreams. We can look in the window of our energy. We can look in the window of values to try to see what's there. What's there in my heart? What's there that God's going to use to give me that oomph? Because remember, we talked about the hurdles. There's going to be hurdles. There's going to be blockages. Whatever God wants you to do, it's not going to be easy. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be a lack of money, or people who oppose you, or people who say you can't do it. It may take a long time. It may be a lot of work. So what's going to give you the energy to keep running and jumping over those hurdles, those obstacles? There's got to be passion. There's got to be passion there, or you're just going to sit down and give up and go, oh, well, I'm an orphan. I'll just live in Cabrera the rest of my life. I mean, who cares? It's okay if I'm poor. It's okay if I just barely have enough money to pay the rent. And if my kids don't have clothes, it's okay. Why should I expect a better life? I don't think any of you guys want to live like that. I think you want a better life. Well, discovering your dreams, your energy, and your values is going to show you also what God has put in your heart that will give you that fight, that energy to keep going even when things are tough. Okay? Any questions on this part? Like I say, I think values are a little harder to understand, but I want you to think about it, and I want you to work on this exercise and think it through. Think it through. You probably can't do all of this tonight. Do some of it over the weekend so you have plenty of time to think about it even, okay? You have more time to think about it over the weekend. And then you may think of more questions that you have as you begin to try to figure out what your values are and how it fits with the other things. Again, I want to remind you that again, God says, for I know the plans that I have for you. Notice, these are not your plans. These are God's plans that He has for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare, not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope. So God is putting His plans into your heart. Okay, I'd like us to just take like 1 minute each. So that's not a long time, but I'd like each one of you to come up here one at a time and just tell what learning about life purpose discovery is meaning to you so far. We've covered design, and now we've finished passion. So what have you learned about yourself, or what has challenged you, or what has helped you? It could be anything. Anything you want to say about life purpose discovery, okay? Who wants to go first?
Okay, that purpose discovery has taught me a lot. Where I get energized from and my passion. Okay, most at first before I knew how I can discover of course I'm still discovering though. We were trying to fit ourselves into other people's fit. We just want to be like so and so. Yet we are not passionate on that area. So I just know like everyone has his own path, and all about is just discovering your path. Just be patient. Try to learn more about yourself, and I think that is great for me.
Wow. Kevin only took like 45 seconds, and that was powerful. Thank you, Kevin. Did you catch what he was saying? The main thing I got out of that, Kevin, is that, and you're so right, when you guys are in school, you're always competing with other people, right? You always want to be like somebody else, so you fit in, so that you're not different. Yeah, I don't know why it is, but kids always want to fit in and not be different. And yet, if you go through life like that, you're going to be a failure because it is what's special about you. It is your strengths, your talents, your passions, the gifts that God's given you that are going to set you apart and make you really special and successful. So, wow, just accepting yourself and trying to find what path am I on? What a powerful message. Great job, Kevin. You captured that. Okay, Jessica or Mercy?
Okay, to me, what I've learned about life purpose discovery, I have learned a lot. Before, I had a lot of dreams. And those dreams, I was managing that. Maybe they're all my own imaginations, but like, I was like, for example, sewing, sometimes I was feeling like when we were choosing some subjects in school. So I was afraid choosing about on science because there's a lot to do, like sewing, what and what. So I was afraid, like, I don't know how to sew it. How am I going to start? But when I came here, now I'm sewing, but I found myself, I have that passion. And also doing gardening, I'm doing good. And also sometimes our dreams, maybe you may dream like, it seems this thing, I can do it or I can't do it, but have hope. Don't lose hope on something that you are dreaming of. And also, when anything come across us, like call, maybe it's a call or anything, like to me, teaching Sunday school, I didn't have that passion, but maybe it was a call because when I tried to teach the kids, I found myself comfortable and open out. So I'm not afraid at all. So to us, we need to say that there's time for everything. We need to try anything that come across us.
Great. That is so true. I guess a couple of the ideas I captured from what you said, Mercy, was trying different stuff. Because you don't know what you're going to be good at or what may be your passion if you don't try it. And not being afraid to dream. Because it may look impossible. When you were looking at classes, thinking of studying sewing, you were probably thinking, what would I sew? I don't know how to sew. How would I get a sewing machine? We don't have electricity here. I mean, there's all those things, and yet here you are. So yeah, having hope, not giving up. Very good. Jessica? It encourages me to hear just what you guys are getting from the classes and how it's helping you and encouraging you.
For me, so far, what I've learned many things. First of all, to start that life is a continuous video. And also in life purpose discovery, I've learned that we should just show what we are good at. Don't try to fit in where you don't fit, first of all. Just live your life, show what you are good at. And also I've learned that in life, you have to be free to experience everything so that you can know what you are good at. And also, we do have strength and weakness. Most of the time in the community, you are being told, try to fix your weakness, but I've learned that your weaknesses are always there. So try to also to strengthen your strength so that they can cover your weaknesses.
Yes, powerful. Wow, that is awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, build on those strengths. You can't make yourself good at something you're not good at. If it's a weakness, let it be. Let it be. That is great. And I'm glad you remembered and God really put the thing on your heart about the video. Because that helps to give you hope, right? If you know it's a video, okay, maybe today I didn't do too good. But you know what? There's tomorrow. We'll let the video keep playing. Because we're all gonna have highs, and we're gonna all have lows. We're all gonna have times when things don't turn out the way we wanted. We may temporarily feel like we failed, but remember, failing does not make you a failure. Someone said that if you learn from your mistakes, you're never a failure. Because you fail, you learn what went wrong, and you get up, and next time you do it right. You do it better because you've learned. So we just need to keep learning and keep trying, keep going. Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you for what you are writing on each heart. Lord, what you're showing us about why we're here, what you want to do through us, what our life is all about, who we can help, what you've called us to do, what strengths, what weaknesses you've put in us, and that we are unique. We're not like anybody else. You have a special plan for each one of us, and I thank you for the hope, the future, the encouragement that gives us. In Jesus' name, amen.